Hello and thank you for watching. I'm really happy to have you here. This is a free printable that I am using in this video to show you how to make folded paper beads. But before I get into the tutorial, I just want to explain a little bit about where we are right now and what we're doing. Because we are camped out in the middle of nowhere at the moment, and this is what we have done in the summertime for the last few years. And also in the autumn and into winter as well. Last year we actually spent Christmas and New Year here. We have a caravan which is permanently parked in the heart of the English countryside in the middle of nowhere, and I think in America you call them campers. It's a vehicle that you pull behind your car and you can take it on to campsites and stay for a holiday, or you can do what we do. We have it parked somewhere permanently that we can come to get away from everything, and we're literally in the middle of the countryside, and we don't even sleep in the caravan, we sleep in a separate tent. So we just really use the caravan to keep all our belongings in, and to come in and shower before bed. And yeah, I mean, in the winter time obviously we do sleep in the caravan, but while it's still summertime and on into the autumn, we prefer to sleep outdoors in the tent. So at the moment I am in the awning which is attached to the side of the caravan. I'm not sure what you would call that in other parts of the world, but in England it's called an awning. That's where I am at the moment in our makeshift kitchen. I'm now taking these sunflower seeds that I've roasted into the kitchen of the caravan where I am making my breakfast. You may hear some odd noises. It keeps raining and you will hear the rain coming down on the caravan, and you may hear some strange zipping noises that go zzz, but that's just Gary going in and out of the awning, which we have zipped up because it keeps raining. And if anyone watching this is interested in knowing more about this lifestyle, watch to the end, because I am going to show you around and about where we are to show you why we love being here so much. So yeah, stay tuned to the end and you will see a little bit more of this. I'll take you into the woods and around the meadows, and you can see how absolutely beautiful it is here. So this is the free printable that I designed. Can you hear this rain? Yeah, I don't know how well the microphone picks that up. Anyway, back to the free printable. How I made this was, these are 12 miniature abstract paintings that I did here the other day, just sitting outside when it was sunny. And what I did was I photographed each one, then I got them up on screen and I changed the colours slightly in Photoshop and saturated the colours a bit more because they look a bit muddy here. And then basically I just opened an A4 document and then I kind of made a mosaic of all of these pictures, which I repeated over and over again. So I filled the whole page with these abstracts, and then I used an application called Water Brush to get the effect that you see on this free printable. So that is in fact all of my 12 abstracts, but I have changed them all around. To get this free design, you can go to www.funcraftstodoathome.com, or you can click the link in the description below, which will take you to my website where you will find this and lots of other free designs. The way I make my folded beads is really easy. You just need a wide ruler, I think they're normally around 1 inch wide, and then just cut the whole thing up into strips, straight strips. So there are my cut strips. Now take each strip and fold in half and then cut in half. Do that with all of them. Then you're going to fold each strip down the middle and you're going to cut a triangle out at one end so that it comes to a point. And don't throw these away because you can throw them in your collage bin. They make nice additions to collages. Yeah, so you just got to put glue stick all over the whole strip and then take each side and fold into the middle. Press it down hard, like so. And then put that to one side to dry. When it is dry, you need to put more glue stick on the pointed end and use a paper bead roller to roll it up all the way to the end. And this bead tool that I'm using, I do sell these in my Etsy shop, and there is a link to that in the description underneath the video. And this is what the bead looks like. And of course they all look slightly different because of the abstract nature of the paintings. So here we are again. You fold in half, cut the triangle off the end, put glue stick all over the whole thing, fold the sides into the middle, and there's a handful of ones that I had dried. And because of the glue stick, they do actually go, they're quite stiff. Now one thing you do need to watch is look at both ends of your strips and pick the best end to actually have showing in your finished bead. So look through all the strips and just pick, start rolling from the most boring end. So there's another one. They all do look slightly different and they are very pretty, and you don't need to colour the sides. That's the whole point of folding them in. So they're quite chunky, and if you don't want your beads to be round, then you just simply flatten them, which is what I'm going to do in a moment. They do look really pretty, don't they? I was actually really pleased with the way they turned out. And there they all are, all rolled up. And the ends do look really nice, and it makes a change from having to colour the edges. So if you want them flat, all you have to do is take a steel ruler and flatten them. And they do look very different and kind of shows off more of the design when they're flat. And that's about it. You can either leave them round or flatten them. It's entirely up to you. And then I did glaze mine. I used Anita's clear gloss. You could use whatever gloss you have. You could use diamond glaze or Dimensional Magic, any clear gloss that you have. I think this one's only available in the UK, but it's pretty much like diamond glaze in the US. And I just put mine on toothpicks, and because I squashed them flat, the toothpick goes in there quite tight, and it's easy to hold the bead on while you glaze it. And I've bought a new printer to have with me at the caravan. It's another Epsom Eco Tank, and these inks are really colour fast. I'm not having any trouble putting wet glaze onto these. There's no running whatsoever, no smearing. which is quite unusual for inkjet prints because they quite often smear a bit when you put wet glue on there. So I got the Epsom 2750 because it's small and it fits into the caravan nicely, and the big one that I use normally wouldn't fit in here. And then I just use a styrofoam block to stick the toothpicks in to dry the beads, and you can do like I've done and put sort of 4 of them on one toothpick, and then you just wait for them to dry. And that's how easy it is to make folded paper beads, or flat folded paper beads, and you could make these into a bracelet. I did actually ladder string these using white shearing elastic, and it was okay, but I wasn't that happy with the results because it was the only elastic I had with me, and it's not really it's really skinny, and I threaded 2 strands through. If you're not sure what ladder stringing is, just Google ladder strung beads and you'll see it's really easy to do. But I'm actually going to dismantle this because I don't like this elastic. It is too thin and it makes the bracelet too floppy. So I'm going to dismantle this and have a rethink how I'm going to use these beads. I'd be interested to hear what you think. How would you use these beads? What would you do with them? What would you make with them? Just let me know in the comments. I'd really be interested to hear what other crafters might do with them. Anyway, as I said, you can get the free printable at www.funcraftstodo@home.com. Link in the description below. There's also a bit more information over on my website. There's also loads more free printables over there. So thanks to everyone for watching this tutorial, and for those who want to find out a bit more about living in the wilds in a tent and a caravan in the UK in all weathers, stay tuned and I'll show you around. This is the awning where we have a makeshift kitchen and where we do most of our cooking. Anyone who's not familiar with caravan awnings, it's just like a gigantic tent that is attached to the caravan and is relatively storm-proof. And although we do have a kitchen inside the caravan, this is where we do most of our cooking because we prefer to be outside, and this is also where we will sit and read and eat, and I will sit here at the table to do my artwork and my crafts. And this is just a general kind of chill out area. When we come back from walks and we're all muddy, this is where we will hang our coats up and where our muddy boots will go. There is a breathable membrane on the ground, but when it rains very, very heavily, we do get water that seeps up through the membrane. It's not a problem, you just keep your shoes on. And then we also have a medium-sized tent which is pitched around the back of the caravan, and that's where we sleep in summertime. Now you may be wondering why we don't sleep in this huge awning, and the reason is I don't want to share my bed with earwigs or ants. And this tent is fully sealed against insects getting in. It's got mesh over all the vents, but the vents are nice and big and it's like sleeping outdoors. You've got fresh air on your face all night. It's really nice. And so yeah, this is where we sleep. So we are living rough compared to being at home, but it's the soft option of living rough, if that makes sense. And all through the years that I struggled to pay a mortgage and work and bring up children, I never in my wildest dreams imagined that there was a different way of living where you didn't have to live behind bricks. And this is it. This is what we absolutely love. So this is where we are camped on private land, which is an absolute privilege. And this is the reason that we're here. For us, this is heaven, and it's a heaven we never knew we wanted until we spent some time here. Growing up in the 50s, we didn't really know ourselves, did we? I mean, we were born into the post-war world where the family was the mainstay of society, and there were certain expectations of us as we grew up. I suppose it depended on how and where you grew up and what class you were born into. My family was working class. We had lots of aunts, uncles and cousins and grandparents, and family values were very strong. It wasn't just expected that we would follow the quote family rules. It was a given that everyone would do what everyone else who came before us had done, and our older cousins were an example to us younger ones. And I was the second youngest of, oh gosh, I can't remember how many cousins. There were a lot of us, because my mum came from a family of 9, and most of those had a couple of children. And so I watched all my female cousins get married in their lovely white dress in church, and it was all, I suppose in a way it was a kind of brainwashing. I'm not saying it was a bad thing, but we never stopped to know ourselves. It was, you were on that road as soon as you were born. You did what your parents had done. I know everything's very different now for younger people. They have a lot more choices. We didn't know that we had choices back then. I suppose people maybe in the upper classes did, people that had more of an education, but we didn't ever stop to think who we truly were. And it wasn't until, I mean, I'm not going to go through my life story or my husband's life story, but we did follow that path. We didn't meet until we were in our mid-40s, after we had both been divorced, and so we had children with other partners, and then we got married in our mid-40s. And it wasn't until then that after we'd raised our families, that we started to get to know ourselves and what truly makes us happy. And I think that was really common in working class families of that era. We were just living according to the unspoken rules of our class, which, as I said, was working class. We weren't wealthy. My parents didn't have money. None of the families around where I was brought up had money. Everyone relied on their paycheck every month or every week, as it was back in those days. And for us 1950s kids in the UK, many of us left school very young. I was 15 and went straight into the working world, and we were expected to get a job as opposed to a career. University wasn't even a word in the vocabulary of most council estate children, and it wasn't really a thing at our level of life. I didn't do any kind of academic study until I was 45, and I studied with the Open University, and I also got my qualifications in journalism and photography. Although I had been working in journalism and photography without any qualifications, I didn't get any kind of academic qualification until my mid-40s. And that's just how it was back then. And it was exactly the same for Gary. I did take a slightly different path to the rest of my family in that I did emigrate to Canada when I was 19 and stayed there for 10 years. So I did have a kind of a different life to the rest of my family. But having said that, I still lived a conventional lifestyle even when I went to Canada. You know, I lived in apartments. Anyway, I'm just showing you these other clips that are taken in autumn and in a moment in winter, so that you can see we're not just fair weather campers. We are here as much as we possibly can be, and so we are here in all weathers, in all seasons. The only concession that we do make when the weather gets colder is we do move into the caravan. We don't sleep in the tent in winter. And this June has turned out to be the wettest June I've ever known, but we just go with the flow. I mean, it's pouring with rain here, and we just continue with our life, going out on walks and just enjoying whatever weather comes. I know that this lifestyle would not be for everyone, but then I think until you've actually tried it, you never know if it's for you or not, because I wouldn't have thought this 10 years ago if someone had told me that we'd be sleeping outdoors every night and not having all the luxuries that we have, like a washing machine and a tumble dryer and all that stuff. I would never have believed that I would be washing my clothes by hand outdoors and then just hanging them up to dry, not even spun. So they do take several days to dry if you get any sun. No, I would never have dreamed that I would be loving living like this. We were here over Christmas and New Year in the snow and the ice and the isolation, and we just couldn't get enough of it. And it's not something that I would ever have expected of myself, and that's because I didn't know myself. And Gary didn't know himself either. I mean, we truly aren't bothered about the weather, because as you can see here, it's absolutely pouring with rain, and as long as you've got the right clothes on, it is fine. You can still go out and enjoy the landscape. It doesn't matter what the weather is doing, not as far as we're concerned. You see different things when you go out in the rain like this. You see a different world. You see different insects. You see the leaves and the flowers look differently with the rain coming down on them. And I take the opportunity to do lots of close-up photography. And most of the time, I'm not even aware that it's raining beyond watching the droplets fall onto whatever I'm photographing. And the thing that we really love most of all about living like this is that we spend probably more than 90% of our time outdoors in fresh air, which includes when we're asleep. And looking back on my life, I really wish that I had known or even considered other lifestyles apart from getting a job and working hard to pay a mortgage that it's going to take most of your life to pay off. I wish I had known this about myself, because instead of buying a house, I would, if I could go back and do it again with the knowledge I have now, I would buy a piece of land, which would have been much easier back then when I bought my first house. Land would have been much easier to buy back then than it is now. I wish I'd bought a piece of land and put up some kind of structure on that land, whether it be a caravan or, a static mobile home, whatever. Just something that that's small, because you don't need a huge amount of living space when you've got the outdoors on your doorstep like this. I mean, obviously you need more room when you've got children, but there are people that are living like this that do have children. And with the world the way it is today, what a wonderful way for children to grow up, away from their electronic devices and the craziness of the world the way it is at the moment, and just be completely immersed in nature and looking after yourself. I mean, our day is taken up with washing our clothes, cooking our food, going for walks, doing some art, reading books. We don't have a TV at home, and we certainly don't have one here. To me, this is an alternative life to the one that we were sold when we were children. You know, that's the way it was in the 50s. I think there's a lot more people now that are enjoying the outdoor life, and long may it go on, and I hope more and more people take to this kind of life and don't wait till they're retired like we did. And it does not take a huge amount of money to do this, I can tell you that, because we don't have a huge amount of money. We kind of invested practically everything we had in buying the camping equipment, the caravan and all the camping equipment that we need. And I can tell you one thing for sure, it's a hell of a lot less than it costs to buy or rent a house. You can live really frugally when you camp like this. So yeah, I know not everyone's going to be able to do this, but if you truly really want to do it, you will find a way. You just have to make sure that you do it legally and that you abide by all the laws and the rules, which is unfortunate. We should be able to just find a place to camp and camp there as long as we're not harming anyone. And as I said, we can't be here all the time. It's not legally possible for us to be here all the time, but we are here as much as we are allowed to be here on this private land, which, as I said earlier, is a massive, massive privilege for us to be able to do. And we are very, very grateful that we discovered this place, because we would never have got to know ourselves the way we have here. And of course it gives those left at home a break from us. So that's about it for now. If anyone is interested in knowing any more about this life, let me know and I will post more videos. Other than that, I will be back with more crafts for you and more free printables very soon. Before I go, I just want to show you this one last clip of these lambs that were born in the spring. Now, there's a whole flock of sheep that are behind an electric fence, and these two are twins, obviously born of the same ewe, and they are number 74. They're both, their mum is number 74, so they've both got 74 dyed onto their wool. And out of, I don't know, I suppose there's about 40 or 50 ewes in the field, with each with two. They all had 2 lambs this year, and out of the entire flock, these are the only 2 that have dared to break out of the electric fence. And every single time we go walking around there where the sheep are, these 2 same lambs have got out, and they are always in different parts of the meadow, and while the other sheep are still munching away at the grass that's quite short now, these 2 are having a whale of a time munching on these low leaves from these trees and bushes. And these 2 lambs really inspire me to be different. You know, they've shown me you need to, you know, take a risk, go through the electric fence and see what there is on the other side. Yeah, every time we go out we laugh and we say, oh, here they are again, number 74. So sweet. And one last point that I want to make before I finish here is that Gary and I are both 70 now. Gary's going to be 71 in a few days actually, and this to us is an alternative to getting old. You challenge yourself every single day living in this environment when you haven't got all the home comforts, and you can't just flick a switch and have something, you know, the dishwasher will wash all the dishes, the washing machine will wash all the clothes, etc. When you're here, you are challenged every day, because we have lived a soft life, really. Even with all the challenges that both of our lives have had, we have lived a soft life compared to many, many people. And living like this does challenge you, and it does help stave off getting old. Just a thought. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again very soon. Whatever you're doing, wherever you are, be happy, and I hope you're all doing well. Take care. Bye.